Welcome to Millennium Daytime Bulletin. I am Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you are watching Millennium News Channel 24. Today I am bringing you the latest updates from around the world. Let's begin with today's topic. South Korean president declares emergency martial law, sending shockwaves across country. Trump appears to threaten Hamas with all hell to pay over hostages. Unlimited enemy troops, mostly Ukrainian soldiers, fight to hold on to Russia's Kursk region. Tycoon on death row for $12 billion fraud loses appeal in Vietnam court. Israel threatens to go deeper into Lebanon as strikes strain ceasefire. Former defense minister accuses Israel of ethnic cleansing in northern Gaza. Global market snapshot makes trends highlight resilience amid volatility. Chess, Ding survives scare Game 7 against Gukesh in syndrome. Denver Broncos 2 interception TDs spoiled record-setting night for Cleveland's Browns. Australian tennis icon Neil Fraser dies at 91. Now let's look at the details. South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol declared martial law in an announced late-night TV address Tuesday, accusing the country's main opposition party of sympathizing with North Korea and of anti-state activities. The last time a South Korean president declared martial law was in 1980. During a nationwide uprising led by students and labor unions. In the surprise announcement, he cited a motion by opposition Democratic Party, which has majority in parliament, to impeach top prosecutors and reject a government budget proposal. Soon after, South Korean lawmakers voted to block the martial law decree, with 190 of 300 members of parliament voting to overturn the measure. The National Assembly Chair, Woo Sik, labeled the president's announcement invalid following the unanimous vote and called on him to immediately lift the emergency measure. Woo, a member of opposition Liberal Democratic Party, added, "The people should rest easy. The National Assembly will defend democracy with the people." It was not immediately clear what effect the vote will have, but under South Korean law, the president is obliged to comply. Yoon had labeled the opposition action as clear anti-state behavior aimed at inciting rebellion. He further claimed that these acts have paralyzed state's affairs and turned National Assembly into a den of criminals. He described martial law as a necessary measure to eradicate these shameless pro-North anti-state forces. He justified the decision as essential to protect the freedom and safety of the people, ensure the country's sustainability, and pass on a stable nation to future generations. The president assured the public, "We will eliminate the anti-state forces and restore the country to normalcy as quickly as possible." While acknowledging the martial law might cause some inconvenience, he promised efforts to minimize its impact on the public. US President-elect Donald Trump has issued an apparent warning to Hamas, threatening all hell to pay if hostages held in Gaza are not released by the time he returns to the White House on January 20th. Dozens of people taken during the 7th October 2023 Hamas attack remain unaccounted for. On Monday, the Israel military said an Israel-American soldier who is believed to be a captive had in fact been killed last October. Without mentioning Hamas by name, Trump posted online the same day, "These responsible will be hit harder than anybody has been hit in the long and storied history of the United States of America. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanked Trump for his strong statement. Trump has generally spoken of ending foreign conflicts and of reducing US involvement. He has positioned himself as a staunch supporter of Israel during its campaigning in Gaza but has urged the American ally to end its military operation. Israel launched a campaign to destroy Hamas in response to group's unprecedented attack on southern Israel in 2023, in which 112 people were killed and 251 others have been taken hostage. More than 44,000 people have been killed in Gaza since then, according to the territory's Hamas-run health ministry. Tens of thousands of others have been injured, and much of the Palestinian enclave is in ruins. On Monday, Israel attributed a new death of 2023 assault by Hamas, saying Israeli-American soldier Omer was killed during the day the body was taken to Gaza. He was previously believed to have been in captivity but alive. US President Joe Biden was amongst who paid tribute to the 21-year-old, saying he was devastated and outraged by a new trust death. In recent days, Hamas also released a video purporting to show another Israeli American caught up in the attack hostage, Edan Alexander. In the clip, in which he appears distressed, the man calls on Trump and Netanyahu to negotiate for his freedom. Monday's Truth Social post by Trump gave few specifics but appeared to refer to the hostages still held captive in Gaza by Hamas. Everybody is talking but hostages who are being held so violently, inhumanly, and against the will of the entire world in the Middle East. But it's all talk and no action, he wrote. He went on to say, if the hostages are not released prior to January 20th, the date that I proudly assume office as President of the United States, there will be all hell to pay in the Middle East. And for those in charge who perpetrated these atrocities against humanity, 20th January date refers to the Trump's inauguration following his win in last month's US presidential election. His post continued, those responsible will be hit harder than anybody has been hit in the long history of the United States. Release the hostages now. In response to senior Hamas official Bassem Naim told Millennium that Netanyahu had subjugated all efforts to secure a deal that involves exchanging the hostages from Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. Therefore, we understand Trump's message is directed first at Netanyahu and his government to end this evil game, he told news agency. Netanyahu said Trump's message was aimed at the responsibility of Hamas to release the hostages and said the president-elect's comment add another force to our continued effort to release all the hostages. The dawn assault inside Russia's Kursk region never even got to the gunfight, yet betrayed the intensity of the battle in Kremlin territory. 5 Russians edged forward in the grey Sunday dawn, but as thermal drone imaginary shows were killed or wounded by a drone, as they say, tried to hide in the tree line. I have the impression that unlimited people, said Alexander, a unit commander with 225th Assault Battalion, describing the clash from a cafe in the Ukrainian city of Sarmy 11 hours later. They send troops and almost no one remain alive, and the next day the groups go again. The next Russian, it seems, do not know what happened to the previous Russians. They go there into the unknown. No one tells them anything about it, and no one comes back. Alexander and 2 colleagues with whom he is sitting an hour hard of hearing from the consistent shelling. They provide a rare insight into the nearly 4-month-long Ukrainian occupation of Kurds. The August invasion marked a tactical success and strategic gain for Kiev, although the use of significant manpower and armor in the assault had led to criticism that shortages created by the invasion contributed to Russia's advance across the Donbas eastern front. Advocates of the Kursk operation suggest it provided Kiev with vital leverage for any future peaceful talks, perhaps initiated by US Donald Trump, which means Ukraine needs to retain a foothold in the area into spring at least. Alexander expressed confidence his unit could hold on, but less certainly as to why. I don't know what the goal really is, he said. Maybe we should walk around here for 4 months and turn around and leave. For example, if the goal is to hold on until a certain point, we will. Asked what his message for Trump would be, Alexander demanded the West uphold the security guarantees it gave Ukraine in return of Kyiv giving up its nuclear weapon in the 1994 treaty known as the Budapest Memorandum, in which Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States gave Ukraine, Belarus, Kazakhstan assurances for giving up their Soviet era nuclear weapon. You took away our nuclear weapons. You promised us your roof, Alexander said. Using a slang word for protection, keep your word. We are being slaughtered. We are still trying to play games. To defend your interest, you had to give everything you could to end this war in 2 days. Who will believe the words of US or England, who are pissing themselves in front of Russia? Pardon my English, he said, laughing, he explanation giving of his profanity. A court in Vietnam on Tuesday upheld a death sentence for real estate tycoon Truong My Lan after rejecting her appeal against a conviction for embezzlement and bribery in a high-profile $12 billion fraud case, a state media reported. Lan, the chairwoman of real estate developers Van Holding Group, was sentenced to death in April for her role in Vietnam's biggest financial fraud case on record. The High People Court in southern Ho Chi Minh City determined that there was no biases to reduce Lan's death sentence, reported online newspaper. If Lan is able to return 3/4 of the money embezzled while on death row, it is possible that the sentence could be commuted to life imprisonment. The report said she is one of the most famous business executive and state officials jailed in the communist country's length anti-graft campaign known as Blazing Furnace. The consequences Lan caused are unprecedented in the history of litigation, and the amount of money embezzled is unprecedentedly large and unrecoverable. The prosecution was quoted as saying, as the appeal hearing by state-run online newspaper, the defendant action have affected many aspects of society, the financial market, the economy, it said. State media cited Lan's lawyer as saying she had many mitigating circumstances, including having admitted guilt, showing remorse, and paying back part of amount of money embezzled. But prosecutors said that was insufficient. Millennium could not immediately reach Lan's lawyer for comment. Lan still has the right to request a review under Vietnam's secession or retrial procedures. Lan arrest in 2022 sparked a run on one of the country's largest private banks by deposits, Saigon Joint Stock Commercial Bank, which was at the center of the fraud and largely owned by Lan through her proxies. Documents received by Millennium showed Vietnam Central Bank had on April pumped $24 billion in special loans into SCB in an unprecedented rescue. Apart from death sentence, Lan has handed a life sentence at the separate trial in October after being found guilty of obtaining property by fraud, money laundering, and illegal cross-border money transfers. As tit for tat strikes trains a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah less than a week since it went into effect. Israel's defense minister on Tuesday threatened to directly target the Lebanese state should the agreement fall apart. Monday was the deadliest day since the agreement came into force last Wednesday, with Israel strikes killing 9 in southern Lebanon after Hezbollah fired at Israeli-occupied territory, citing Israeli truce violations. If we return to war, we will act with strength, go deeper, Israel Quds said during a visit on Tuesday to the 46th Division of the Israel Defense Forces near Lebanese border. Were the ceasefire to collapse, he said, there will no longer be any exemption from the state of the Lebanon if until now we separated the state of Lebanon from Hezbollah and the entirety of Beirut from the Hayya, which took very hard hits. This will no longer be the case. It comes a day where Israel conducted airstrikes across southern Lebanon, retaliating to Hezbollah, firing two rockets at Israeli occupied territory themselves, a response to nearly Israel attack on Lebanon beginning the day after the truce came into effect last Wednesday. Exchange of fire cast doubts on the longevity of the ceasefire brokered by the US through State Department spokesperson Matthew. He said, "We have not seen the ceasefire break down. Both the American and French government have privately told Israel that they believe it is violating the agreement." Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel, who also holds a position in the defense ministry, said in an interview with Israel Can Radio, the United Nations peacekeeping forces in Lebanon, UNIFIL, said Israel had breached the ceasefire agreement approximately 100 times since the truce went into effect. Both the French and the Americans didn't really like it. Smotrich said, referring to Israeli strikes on Lebanon since the truce, but the IDF in the days since the ceasefire is enforcing it is a very determined way, both against Hezbollah and against civilians who are trying to return to villages in the border area without permission. Except for Tuesday, Israel has launched daily airstrikes in Lebanon since the day after ceasefire went into effect last week. Military has said that it acted in response to several acts by Hezbollah in Lebanon that posed a threat to Israeli civilians in violation of the understandings between Israel and Lebanon. Highly decorated former Israeli defense minister has caused a firestorm by accusing Israel of carrying out ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in northern Gaza. Moshe Yaalon, who served 3 decades in the IDF, including in the elite Sayeret Matkal Commander Unit and as military chief of staff, also said that he believed Israel was losing its identity as a liberal democracy and becoming a corrupt and leprous fascist messianic state, conquering, annexing, ethnic cleansing. Look at northern Gaza, Yaalon told Israel's Democrat TV. The interviewer expressed surprise at Yalon's word of phrase ethnic cleansing, asking it that what do you think, why on the way. He responded, what's happening there? There's Beit Lahia, there's no Beit Haun, there's currently operating in Jabalia, and essentially they're cleansing the area of Arabs, he said, referring to the IDF. The Israeli military has 2 months been carrying out an intense and deadly operation in northern Gaza, targeting what it says are resurgent Hamas militant. It was told all civilians that their own safety, they must go to humanitarian area in southern Gaza. Thousands of Palestinian civilians have refused to leave after more than a year of being told to evacuate areas of Gaza that are then also targeted by Israeli strikes. Vanishingly few aid deliveries have been allowed to northern Gaza, according to the World Food Programme. Israeli military responded to Yalon's denied that it was ethnically cleansing northern Gaza and said that it operated in accordance to the international law and evacuate civilians based on operational necessity for their own protection. The government has not yet presented a plan for post-war governance in Gaza. It also has denied its implementing a surrender or starve proposal in northern Gaza put forward by a retired military general, Giora Eland, through its did consider the plan. I held up a mirror to the statements of many ministers and Knesset members in the government, Yalon said in the second interview with Channel 12. Under this title, ethnic cleansing is effectively being carried out. I don't have another word for it. The interviewers said that such a phrase evoked dark period in history. That's right, and I purposely used this term to ring the alarm bells, the former defense minister responded. Now bringing you the latest updates on today's market trends. Today's market performance: In the American paints a mixed picture, signaling both cautious optimism and ongoing volatility. In the United States, major indices displayed contrasting movements. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dipped slightly by 0.12%, a modest decline by reflective of investor caution possibly tied to uncertainty in the macroeconomic environment or sector-specific setbacks. Meanwhile, the S&P 500 inched up 0.05%, while the Nasdaq led to charge among US indices with 0.27% rise, driven by strength in tech and growth stock. Notably, the VIX, a measure of growth market volatility, edged down by 0.52%. The decline suggests a slight reduction in investor fear as market participants possibly interprets recent trend as stabilizing after recent uncertainties. Results 2000 representing small cap stocks fell by 0.68%, underlined lingering pressure on smaller domestic focused business. North of the border in Canada, both the S&P TSX Composite and S&P TSX 60 posted gains with former 0.17% gain. There's strength in energy and material sector which continues to benefit from global commodity demand. South American market were more uniformly positive, and Brazil's Bovespa surging 0.7% indicates key sectors including financial and commodities. Mexico BMV IPC is in confidence of 0.94%. In contrast, Chile's S&P IPSA saw a slight drop of 0.15%, showing challenges and uncertainty in the market. In conclusion, today's market activities underscore the mixed sentiment globally. While technology and resource-driven sectors provide upward momentum, other indices remain under pressure, highlighting the balance act investors face in a landscape market by geopolitical, economic, and corporate dynamics. Stay tuned for further developments as global market continues to adjust to evolved conditions. Today's commodity market showcase a blend of optimism and cautious across key sectors. Energy market dominates the headlines with WTI crude oil and Brent crude oil both surging 2.8%, 2.5% respectively. WTI closed at $70, supported by strong volume of 271,000. These gains reflect increasing market confidence, possibly driven by demand recovery expectations or supply constraints. On the flip side, natural gas took a sharp hit, tumbling 5.29%. The drop amid significant trading indicates bearish sentiments, perhaps influenced by mild weather forecast. In the metal segment, gold maintained stability with a marginal 0.19%, closing at $2,000. Meanwhile, silver performed notably well, suggesting investors are still looking at precious metals as safe havens amid broader market volatility. Agricultural commodities showed minimal activities. Soya beans remained virtually flat, dipping a mere 0.03% to $9, reflecting a balance between supply dynamics and tepid demand. Overall, while energy markets are seeing a robust rebound, mixed trends in other commodities signal diverse investor focus. The spotlight remains on economic indicator and global developments shaping these factors. You can't win a fight if you don't throw a punch, former world chess champion Magnus Carlsen had remarked, slamming the contestants for the world chess title. Ding Liren and Gukesh D fought playing passively in the first 6 games, talking that to heart. Both players showed their mettle in Game 7 today in Singapore, where Gukesh unleashed plenty of punches but flattered to win in the face of excellent defensive moves by the defending champions. The result notwithstanding, it was at the edge of the seat thriller where Ding had just 7 seconds to make a decisive move and Gukesh had barely 2 seconds on the clock. The longest game of the championship so far with 67 moves played over 5 hours and 20 minutes, received a befitting applause from the audience of grandmasters and sports journalists from all over the world. Gukesh came across the better prepared in the opening but didn't manage to find a breathing space on the board wherever he was pushed to the corner. Fighting for another day, I am extremely lucky not to have been knocked down today, Ding said in the post match conference with his trademark smile that has won many hearts in the championships. Gukesh opened with the Gifford defense instead of 1-4, which would have allowed Ding to respond with his strong weapon, the French defense. Gukesh delivered first punch on the move 7 when he moved his rook to the d1 square. This move was movably and was played for the first time as the level in 4,000 occurrences of the same position at the world level in chess. Ding admitted later, when I saw this move, I had just returned from a toilet break. It was a shocker. The fight analysis of the game said the champion Ding Liren dodged a bullet this afternoon after a huge blunder on move 40. It looked like the challenger was about to make his calm claim to become the new fight world champion. The champion defended accurately but at a huge time cost and with only a few moves to go. He was under acute time pressure with only 7 seconds left on the clock. Ding Liren blundered on the last move before the time control instead of 40. He should have played 45 with a blockade and very good chances to draw. We'll be right back after the short break. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi. Keep watching Millennium Daytime Bulletin.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome back after the break. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you are watching Millennium Daytime Bulletin. The Denver Broncos defense scored 2 interception touchdowns to defeat the Browns 41-32 on Monday to spoil a record-setting night for Cleveland's Jameis Winston and Jerry Jeudy. Winston passed for a Browns franchise record 479 yards and 4 touchdowns as well as 3 interceptions, while Jeudy torched his former team, amassing a career-high 9 receptions for 235 yards and a TD in the losing effort. Despite being the first Brown quarterbacks to pass over 400 yards since 2015, Winston's brilliance was overshadowed by 2 costly interceptions that were returned for touchdowns, trailing 14-10 in the second quarter. The Browns offense was marching down the field, getting to within field goal range. However, Nick Bonito picked off the gunslinging Winston, taking it to the house for the 71-yard pitch 6 with 1:38 left in the first half. Winston quickly made up for the interception, guiding the Browns' offense 70 yards down the field, ending with a 4-yard touchdown pass to tight end David. In times like this, there is opportunity to continue to glorify the Lord even though the toughest circumstances. Winston said after the game, I know I am better than this. I am just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes. That's not me. Phenomenal game offense, said some great things. I messed it up. Denver's offense led to Rookie of the Year candidate Bo Nix added to the lead in the third quarter. Nix made a pinpoint pass to Marvin Mims Jr., who hauled in the deep ball of the 93-yard touchdown and 28-17 lead. Nix finished 274 yards touchdown. The Browns wasted no time to responding, scoring a touchdown on the first play of the ensuing drive when the Winston connected with the Judy for a 70-yard touchdown and a successful two-point conversion to cut the deficit to 25-38. After being acquired in a trade in March, the former Bronco had a career night against the team that drafted him in the first round of the 2020 NFL Draft. Jury set a record for the most receiving yards in a player's first game against their former team in NFL history. Cleveland took a 32-31 lead in fourth quarter after Winston connected with a wide open Nick Chubb after a 5-yard touchdown. Nick then Broncos offense into field range, setting a 27-yard advantage. Poised with the opportunity to orchestrate a go-ahead drive, Winston threw his second pitch 6 of the game as Jaquan McMillan leaped up and grabbed the pass, returning it 44 yards for the game-selling. It was pretty, and yet in the end, what did we do? Especially late, Broncos head coach Sean Payton said after the game. With the victory, the Broncos improved 8-5 on the season as they stay in the hunt for the team's first postseason appearance since 2015. Meanwhile, the Browns fall to a 3-9 and 2-3 since Winston replaced the injured Deusas Weston. Neil Fraser, the icon of Australian tennis, who was the last man to win singles, doubles and mixed doubles title at a single Grand Slam, has died aged 91. Tennis Australia announced on Tuesday Fraser won 19 Grand Slams, including singles titles at Wimbledon and the US National Championship, the precursor to the US Open, but it's best remembered for his success with Australia's Davis Cup team. During a golden age of Australia in the sports, the lefty was a key member of the team, which won 4 consecutive titles between 1959 and 1962. Fraser won the Triple Crown singles, doubles and mixed doubles title at the US National Championship, a run which helped make his men world number one the following year. He achieved the same feat again, beating Rod Laver in the singles finals, having already defeated his legendary compatriot in the final at Wimbledon earlier this year. I'm deeply saddened to hear the passing of my dear mate and fellow lefty Neil Fraser, Laver wrote on X, formerly known as Twitter. He was true gem in the golden era of Australian tennis legends, an incredible number 1 Grand Slam champion and a Davis Cup icon. Neil bested me in 2 major finals, pushing me to become a better player. My heartfelt condolences to Thea and Neil's extended family. I'll miss you dearly, buddy. Rest in peace alongside Laver and Roy Emerson. Fraser won 4 straight Davis Cups in the late 1950s and early 1960s, remaining an amateur in the hope of succeeding Harry Hopman as captain. When he eventually did so in 1970, Fraser's won a further 4 Davis Cup titles before retiring in 1993. During the time as captain, he oversaw the emergence of the likes of John Newcombe, John Fils, and Wimbledon winner Pat Cash. He was like a father to me, said Clash, who won the Davis Cup under Fraser in 1983 and 1986. He just knew how to make you feel important and play your best. Fraser was inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame in 1984 and the Australian Tennis Hall of Fame in 1994. In 2008, he was awarded the International Tennis Federation Philip Chartier Award for his outstanding service to the sports. That's all for now. Thank you for tuning in. Stay with us for more updates. Log in to stay updated with the latest news on our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok, Millennium News 24. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, Millennium News 24. You can watch us on Android and iOS devices as well as on Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and all smart TV platforms. Enjoy entertainment and latest news with us. Download the Millennium TV apps, Millennium TV USA for Android, and Millennium News on Google. Thank you for being part of Millennium News 24.